Let me hear you, Blake.
Test, test, test. Hello, hello, hello.
Do you hear yourself?
No.
How about now?
Test, test, test.
You hear me?
Nope.
You can't hear anything.
Nope. It's on.
Hold on.
It's off. It's off.
Huh?
It's off. There we go.
You hear me?
Yeah, you're on now.
All right, stand by. And here we go. It's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents, not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Good morning, everyone. Awesome show this week. All kind of stuff going on. And I tell you, some very interesting data out there. We'll break into the micro market data, got the brand new micro market info out, and it's very, very interesting. Well, some areas up double-digit growth in terms of prices in Myrtle Beach year to date, which is shocking, really, to see it that much of an increase. Where some areas are struggling, we've seen some big-time properties sell. I mentioned that in previous weeks, where some of the super high-end stuff on the ocean or near the ocean, under contract like a day or two, you're starting to see some of that closed, which is awesome. We'll break in each zip code, what's happening, so you kind of get a feel for what's happening in your neighborhood. And they're all over the place, right? There's so strategy matters based on that. Overall, we'll kind of look at what's had this on last week's show. Just didn't have time to get to it. This is like the catch-22. We'll look at what do you do if you're buying or selling at the same time. That's what we call the delicate dance. What I've been working on for 20 years to master for our clients, and I feel we're very, very good at it. And just have some strategies of what to do. And depending on which side you're on and what your strategy is, you want to make sure that you do it right, because if you wait too long on one side, it can cost you tremendously. For example, you see some people, they wait to list their house or do anything until they find something. And what happens is they're up against a strict deadline and they get super desperate and they leave money on the table. And so I'll teach you a little bit about how to do that, what to kind of look for overall. We'll also look at what everybody's predicting. Some of the big players in the industry in terms of like data companies are really predicting for the next 5 years in terms of home sales and specifically prices of homes the next 5 years. Some are a little more bearish in terms of price appreciation, where they're looking at 2 to 3%. We'll talk about what's going on with that. And we'll do the same thing we've been doing here for every year for the past, I think, 15 plus years. Is our goal is just to give you data information and educate you on real estate, which for most people are the largest assets, right? It's at least one of the largest assets. And so I watch some people make the mistakes, and just I want everybody to be able to make good decisions, be aware, be able to know what's going on, and be able to plan ahead, knowing what to do. If you want to come back and watch these shows, we stream them on YouTube, stream them on Facebook. You can follow me at Blake Sloan, also Sloan Realty Group. If you want to, just go to YouTube, just type in Blake Sloan Radio Show. Go back and watch those as well. Also, our team is hiring. We're in a growth mode. A lot of agents are pulling back right now. There's the cards are shuffling in the deck for sure in terms of the real estate industry. A lot of agents are struggling, a lot more resistance in the marketplace. Very, very difficult. A lot of agents just backing off and stopping their spin. We've been doubling down overall. We're looking to add a couple more people on our team who are A players, someone who's maybe in the industry or either outside the industry. We will train you up, get you licensed. We have a license, a real estate school that we can get you licensed through that we own. And that's something that will really kind of help come into this fall market. But if you want to know more about that, reach out to me. In addition to that, we also have a full real estate fund with millions of dollars looking to buy properties, and also even commercial businesses, service-based businesses, anyone that wants to sell that. We're looking to buy those, as well as properties. It could be commercial property, residential homes, condos, based on situation, where it's an instant, easy, fair cash offer through that real estate fund. And if you want to know more about that, we'll talk about that in today's show, but stay tuned. Lots of great stuff for today.
For any new listeners, just to give you an update on just who Blake is, it's an amazing story. Industry leaders have dubbed him the real estate whiz kid. Been featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, NBC, Realtor Magazine, and many other national publications. He has been personally endorsed by Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck. One of those by itself is an accomplishment, but all of them together is unprecedented. Last week, we learned a little about how you and your team work, and how a good portion of your success has come from the trademark systems you have developed to help both buyers and sellers here in our market. Recap quickly for anyone new to the show what those are exactly, and a quick overview of how they work, Blake.
Yes, Rick, and that's just the only reason I did the show, really, just to help hopefully save one or two people a week from making bad decisions over and over and over. Like I said, this is the whole DNA behind the show. It's the whole reason we do it. It's really all that matters. We had the same exact thing happen this week. We were just reviewing it yesterday with our listening team. where people they tend to ask the wrong questions when they're picking real estate agents. It's just in our documentary, you talk about where people just are not very good at picking agents. If you think about it, most people don't even know what to ask, right? The only question you ever get is how much do you charge? That's really it. And that's the wrong question to ask, right? Because you want to ask a lot more important things ahead of that. And obviously cost matters, value matters, but it's not really the leading indicator of how you should choose your agent, right? If I choose anything based on price, specifically the lowest price, is never going to work out well. If I buy the cheapest car, the cheapest brand of car, if I search Myrtle Beach for the cheapest BMW, chances are it's probably not going to be a good outcome, right? If I have a legal issue I need and I search around for the cheapest attorney, probably not a good outcome, right? If I want an accountant and to find the cheapest accountant, probably not a good outcome. So what makes anyone think to be the same exact any better outcome for real estate agents when you search by just that metric only, right? And so I hear horror story after horror story. People are basically making the wrong decisions in terms of how they pick real estate agents. And here's the number one mistake they make. They make the mistake of thinking that everyone is the same, just like a commodity. And it could not be any further from the truth. And I get why, because unfortunately about 95% of them are similar. The reality, because the average agent or marketplace sells less than 4 homes per year, which is 1 per quarter. That's not very much to know from a knowledge standpoint, not very much marketing dollars there. And so what I want people to realize and take away from the show, if anything at all, is that the single most important variable that determines your success or failure as a home seller and even a home buyer comes down to one thing only. And that thing is the agent that you choose, period, right? Not the time that you list, not the way your house looks. None of that. It comes down to the agent you pick, and specifically, how well do they execute in the process? And what people don't realize is when you're selling a property, I mention this every week because it's that important. And it's really all that matters. If you take anything from the show, the other stuff is just kind of like really just great info to kind of surround what the most important part for anyone to take is that the single most important variable that determines your success or failure is the agent. Why is that? Well, because it's a long sales cycle in terms of how real estate works. There's a lot of nuances that can make or break the home sale. And it's a very high value item, right? Which is very, very difficult in many cases to get sold overall, right? Lots of emotion behind it. And so what people realize when you're selling a property, it's 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one's handled correctly, puts money in your pocket, property gets sold. Anything's handled incorrectly, they drop the ball at any point. And that can be anything from, do they answer the phone when a buyer calls it? Do they call the buyers back when they actually call to buy your property? We talked about this last week, right? They did a national study, 3,000 plus brokerages called. Less than 50% of the time, a buyer inquired about a property, the agent even called them back. And so not that they don't want to, it's just they don't have enough time to do it because you have one single agent working a broken business model in terms of how it works. And so it could be anything from the photo quality, the actual order of the photos online, all these nuances from negotiation strategy, price strategy, all this stuff matters. And so the reality is when you have 118 different variables from A to Z, and you have one single agent who's executing all of those on not just your listing, but multiple other listings, the chances of them dropping that ball are very, very, very high. And I shared this yesterday with another agent who we were talking to maybe join our team. And he was like blown away. He's like, you're exactly right. You nailed every problem with the industry because you have one single agent and we're all at brokerages. And so like one place when I started out, Coldwell Banker had 200 agents. They didn't care about me. I didn't care about them. They actually were less likely to sell my listing because there was competition there. They didn't want to sell a listing, right? They didn't want somebody else in their brokerage to sell it because then it would hurt their chances of getting salesperson of the month. It was wild. And so there was no alignment from the business model. There's no alignment in terms of working together. You just have a bunch of independent contractors that are out there that basically work against each other. This is one thing I talk about all the time. If you're a consumer or anybody out there, do you know the difference between real estate brokerages? The only difference is how they pay their agents. That's it. There's not much support. There's not in terms of actual value propositions or anything that's offered to the consumer that really makes a massive difference. And so what we did is like, there's got to be a better way to do this. There's got to be a way to get alignment within the organization. And I realized that the model was broken, right? It's impossible for one person to juggle all those balls on 118, right? You have single agents out there working with buyers. If you have a buyer, you got to show them 12, 15 properties before they buy something. But to survive, you have to work with 15, 20 buyers at the same time. That's 40 hours a week just with buyers. Well, now you got to go to the listing, go to the property, do the market analysis, meet with the client, get the listing. Then you got to do the photos, right? Put it in the MLS, do the marketing piece. Then you got to do all the administration, which is like the showing feedback. Then you got to do all the things like updating the seller. Then you also got to do anything on any deals you have, which is contract to close. And those are things like finance contingencies, deadlines, inspections. All this stuff happened. It's simply impossible for one single agent to handle all that. But unfortunately, 95% of the industry operates that same way. The old school 8-track tape cassette model is how the industry works. You have one agent who's juggling all the balls, and that's like having the same person at McDonald's to the front register, the drive-thru, and French fries at the same time. Very, very inefficient, which is why the balls get dropped a lot of the time. It's why if you look at the MLS, less than 50% of properties that get listed actually sell. So think about this. If 100 properties get listed in MLS, less than 50 of them actually sell. That means 50 didn't sell. That's what I talked about this week with someone. I'm like, look, if you had the same guy yesterday, where it's like, look, if I have to fly to LA and I have a 50% chance of that plane making it, am I going to get on the plane? Absolutely not, right? But they'll list the largest asset with somebody who has a less than 50% chance of getting it done because they don't understand how it works. And so what I wanted to share that with that is that you have to have something that's a proven, repeatable system that helps get better results. And so what I did is I looked at what people did outside of real estate in traditional businesses outside the industry and modeled them and brought that model into real estate. And that's what really kind of got us featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, all that stuff, where we have a team of specialists. Each person specializes in what they do so they can execute at a higher level, which allows us to be much more efficient in our conversion, our follow through, and allows us to really invest more money in marketing and systems and processes to give a better service to the client. And that's where the experience comes in better. That's where the results come in better. That's how you sell properties faster and for more money. And that's where you create leverage in the back end by having tens of thousands of buyers for every single type of property that you get. You match them up against that. And so what I did was I designed this thing called the Guaranteed Sold System, the only proven system that sells twice as fast and for 21% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well, right? For buyers out there, it's very difficult. You want to make sure that you have someone who's an expert who can guide you because you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on payments for 30 plus years in some cases, right? If you get refinance. And so it's one of those things that you want to make sure that it's getting nailed from the very beginning. And so we designed this thing for buyers out there called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. You provide access to foreclosures, distressed sales, distressed sellers, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price, as well as after the closing to make sure that we help you with any real estate related need the entire time you're on the property. And so if you want to understand what really makes it different is just understanding service-based businesses. Service-based businesses have to do with humans, and if humans are involved, it could be a restaurant, it could be a doctor, it could be a lawyer, it could be a financial advisor. The main thing there is how well does that human execute? What you find is most people are just average. They're doing just enough to get by, doing just enough to be comfortable. And if you're talking about your largest asset where stakes are so high, you want somebody who's obsessed with excellence, who's obsessed with making sure they get the results at the highest level. And that's exactly what our team does. If you want to know more how it works, at least do this. We have a documentary made. You can go watch it right now on my website at blakesloan.com. And it breaks down the industry. It breaks down the problems people have. And it breaks down exactly what we do to make us different. But also, if you have any questions you want directly answered with me or my team, call me today. We're hustling today. We're hustling tomorrow. We're hustling every day. My number 843-808-SOLD. We'll take a quick break right back in a second.
Here with the only real estate agent in your market that I recommend, Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. And thanks for joining me today. A lot of real estate companies are making instant offers these days. What makes yours different from what they're offering?
Hey, Sean, that's such a great question. The massive difference is we actually buy your house. Most of those advertisements you hear, even on the same station, are wholesalers. They're just there to lock your property up at a discount price and try to assign it to someone else, make money off your hard-earned equity. Then they leave you hanging at the closing table if they can't find someone else. They never had any intention of closing. Most don't even have the money to close if they wanted to. We're local, we have millions of dollars, and we actually close the deal.
All right, thanks for keeping us up to date. Find out how much demand your home can command right now. Call the agent that creates the most demand. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com. And consider your home sold.
Hi, I'm Barbara Barber. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, the only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. We offer several options to home sellers, which really takes away the stress.
That's right. For sellers in time crunch, you can agree to sellers on a certain date, take half their home or payment rent.
That's great. And if the seller has a bid for it,
Use our proven marketing plan and sell for the highest price.
work with my friend Blake Sloan and get your home sold on your terms.
Welcome back, Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Brand new market update. Some very, very interesting stuff going on. I'll tell you some numbers that surprised me in terms of like micro market data. We'll talk about that. Micro markets, like what happens in each zip code. So the one I get the most feedback about, the most questions about, because you got to think the market's very dynamic, especially Myrtle Beach, where we're along the coastline, right? The more inland you go, the different marketplace you have, the farther north or south you go, it's always different. You want to make sure you base your strategy on the data that makes sense for that specific area, not the entire marketplace in general, right? And so we also track two types of numbers. We talk about numbers that closed last month. That's what the whole industry uses. And that's great, right? The only problem is if it closed last month when under contract, 30 to 60 days prior to that. So you could be using data that's 90 days old, right? 25% of the year behind. And that's not always the best strategy if you're looking to stay on top of things. So we also use what we call the front windshield data, which is, hey, what's happening right now the last 7 days? We track this. We have this data in a spreadsheet since COVID started. Every single day in our office, we talk about it, we track it, because it allows us to know what's happening real time from a pulse standpoint on the market in terms of buyer confidence, how many buyers are coming in, and you can watch the direct correlation from interest rates to marketplace, also the seasonality of what happens. And like, even for example, in the last 7 days, sales numbers in terms of properties under contract went up 10%, which is awesome. So we'll talk about that. In the last 7 days, for example, 541 properties went under contract. Versus last week's show was 490. And so it's a 10.41% increase week over week. Some of that has to do with a little bit of the holiday. People tend to not look as much with the July 4th holiday there. That was not necessarily the same week, but it was kind of leading up to that overall. But volume in the last 7 days, $203,186,000 under contract, which is awesome, right? Lots of properties. That's a 6.28% increase from the same time the previous week, which is great. Not a lot of huge properties, which is surprising. In the last 7 days, one property at $2 million under contract, 14 properties over $1 million, 109 properties over $500,000, which is good. That's a big number compared to usually. If you back to last week's show, there's only 191 million there. So what, a $12 million difference just in 7 days? That's significant. One property with 3.5 2 weeks ago, 3 over 2 million. So lots of big stuff 2 weeks ago. This week, just a lot of mid-price stuff that's getting sold. And so great numbers. And that's a huge jump there. We're talking a 10% increase just week over week. And obviously, we're seasonal marketplace. We have lots of people in town right now searching who've been combining their vacation with their home search. And obviously, they make the best of both of those. And that's something we noticed for a very, very long time. But what that means is, hey, things are rolling, right? We're getting to that late summer, early fall market, which you see a lot of big money come down here overall. And you kind of watch the dynamic change from buyers. Some of the biggest times are really third quarter for us in terms of properties going under contract. And some great news there for home sellers. Also, hopefully would open up some inventory for buyers out there as well. Looking at the general, I'll recap the macro market really quick for anyone who missed last week's show. That's like what happened in the entire Grand Strand. Last month, the entire Grand Strand sales were up 14% from the same time last year, which is amazing. Doesn't feel like that, but statistically it is. And I think overall, if you just go back to 2024, June struggled a little bit. June was actually lower than May and July last year. But June this year is up. It did great. 556 properties that closed. Last year was only 484. That's good news overall. Problem with those, price did drop 6% for median price for the entire marketplace last month at 470,000. It went down in a 1 month different from 508 to 470. So you're talking a $40,000 drop there in terms of average sale price, just month versus month. Median price down 0.6% from the same time last year. Not a big jump overall, which is good. Months of supply right now is 5.4 months of inventory. We're creeping up on that threshold where it goes from a seller's market to a buyer's market. And so if you're thinking about selling, you probably want to do that a little bit earlier than later, because there's still not a huge, hasn't hit the threshold where it shifts from a seller's market to a buyer's market, but it is up 28% from the same time last year overall. Right now, the average days on market is 108 days on market that it takes for a property to get sold, which is shocking to a lot of people. So think about the math. If you have 10 properties that are listed, only 5 get sold statistically while they're listed. And of the 5 that sold, it takes 108 days on average to sell. That's a difficult market. That's where you want to make sure you have an agent who's very good at what they do, who understands the nuances. And so not only do you have a 50% chance of your property selling, if you just list with any agent, with that, it takes 108 days on average, which is a long time, right? So you want to make sure you have someone who's expert, who's good at what they do, who can navigate it. Overall, right now, the average listing for a single family home only gets 3.4 showings the entire time it's listed, which is statistically usually around 6 months, right, for most agreements there. And the problem is, how many showings does it take to get a contract? statistically, it takes 12. And so you need about 4 times the amount of showings that the average listing gets to actually get a contract. That's where you can see the problem comes in. That's why 50% of properties don't sell. That's why it's taking 108 days on average to sell the ones that do sell, because they're just not getting enough traffic, not getting enough buyer, traffic coming in to see it. And that's what we're good at, which is I'm basically a marketer in the real estate business. That's my forte. I cannot force a buyer to like your house, right? I can show them all the cabinets, all the closets, as much as you want to, but the buyer knows in 2 seconds if you like the property or not. I've been in thousands of houses, and I noticed that early on in my career that I can't make any buyer want this house. They know in 2 seconds if they like it. And so what I'm really good at is getting a lot more buyers to your house, qualified buyers, that is, who would like that type of property, who can get more exposure, so we can increase the chances of somebody coming in to pull the trigger. And that's what we're very, very good at overall. I'll jump in really quick to just the micro market in a couple key areas. It is the hardest one to do on radio because it's just a lot of me talking about it. But everyone likes to know, well, hey, what's my neighborhood doing? What's my zip code doing? And the data source we use through our association realtors breaks it down by zip code. So Myrtle Beach area, which is like always the leading one. You can always kind of, they lead the pack, and then everyone else kind of follows a couple months behind. But Myrtle Beach, great news, 29577, 29572. Obviously, 29572 has been smoking hot lately. Lots of big properties selling in that Dunes Club area, the Grand Dunes area, in the Golden Mile area. Lots of big stuff has been selling. So if you look at year to date so far, sales are down 10% year to date. Last month, they're down 4.8%. Prices, though, up 11% year to date, which is interesting. So it went from 485 to 539, which is great for overall median sale price. Last month, prices were down 11% from 562 to 500. Inventory of homes for sale in Myrtle Beach is up 31% from the same time last year. Interesting there, right? Condo sales, not that bad year to date, only down 5.6%. Last month, condo sales up 25%. That was a shocking number to me right there. And I think you've seen some prices come down enough where some buyers are just jumping in and picking up those condo deals overall. It shows prices up 2.2% for condos this year to date. Some of my colleagues now are talking this morning in our office about that. That's been a little shocking number because we're seeing a lot of condos struggle right now in certain buildings, but we've been very good at getting condos. So one of our success stories today is a condo that was listed for a year with another agent, no action, no nothing. We came in, listed it, pretty much the identical same price, put our system behind it, boom, under contract in I think a week or a day. I'll pull it up in a second, which is awesome. It was 1 week. Looking at Little River area, 29566. Sales down 39% year to date. So that's significant, right? So last year, this time, there's 479 sales. Right now, only 289. So some has to do with inventory. There's a lot of new construction stuff out there. This report does include resales and new construction. I don't love that because some of the new construction data is not fully accurate. For example, some of the larger home builders will list one house at MLS, but they may have 2 or 3 other ones they actually use and actually sell. They kind of use the one as the loss leader. But looking at median sale price is down 5.2% year to date from 385 down to 365. So not too bad there. Overall inventory is up 1.5% there. So that's an interesting number. Inventory at 1.5%, sales down 39%, which is why you're seeing prices soften overall. You're not seeing too many condos in Little River area. North Myrtle Beach area, 29582, doing great. Check this out. Sales last month up 39% from the same month last year. So June 2024, 59 sales. June 2025, 82 sales. Huge jump there, which is great news. And that's what I meant. It's all over the place. That's why you need an agent who understands the micro market from a strategy standpoint, because you want to base your strategy around that. Year-to-date sales up 6%, which is awesome. Prices down 2% for the year-to-date, up 0.8% for last month, which is not a big deal. Here's the crazy part. Inventory up 45%. So last year, 227 houses for sale. This year, 330. So big jump there overall. Condo sales in North Myrtle Beach down 7%. Prices down 10% year to date from 330 down to 294. Loris and Longs area, 29568, 29569. Sales year to date up 19%. So that's awesome. Last month, sales up 19%. Great news there. Prices year to date down a little bit, down 1.7% from 300 down to 295. So not that big a deal there. Inventory is not that much up. It's only up 4% year to date. So that's great news there. Obviously not many condos in Loris and Longs. Conway area, year to date sales up 6.7%. Last month sales were up 8%. And so how that works, it basically just tracks the first 6 months of the year for year to date. And then for the last month, it compares June of last year to June of this year. Inventory up 21.7% from the same time last year. So a little bit more competition out there. The good news is you're seeing a lot more closed sales, and some of that has to do with affordability, right? People who start out looking at Myrtle Beach, they move a little more inland, where there's a little bit more deals out there, a little bit less average sale price. And that's something that's great news for a lot of sellers. Also great news for a lot of buyers because there's some opportunity out there as well. Surfside Beach, where I grew up, 29575. It's crushing. Last month, sales were up 32% from the same time last year. So 2024, 46 sales. 2025, 61 sales, which is awesome. Year-to-date sales on Surfside down 3.8%. Not that much. Prices, though, up 2% year-to-date, which is awesome. 395 up to 402. Last month, sales were down. Average sale price was down 9%. So not that big a deal there. And inventory up 24% in Surfside Beach overall. The condo market, sales were up year-to-date 23% for condos. So that's great news there. Price down a little bit, down 5.7% from 185 to 174, and that's for year-to-date. Soxy area, last month, sales up 25% from 89 last year to 112 this year, which is great news. Year-to-date, sales up 9% overall. Competition inventory up 22%. So 22% more homes on the market than it was the same time last year in June. So that's something to watch out for overall. Garden City, Myrtle's Inlet area, 29576. Sales year-to-date down 4%. Prices year-to-date, though, up 7.5% from 442 to 475. And there's a lot of different nuanced properties here. Anything that's near the water, much higher. So you want to break that down per neighborhood as well. Median sale price last month up 3.7% from 429 to 445. And inventory, this is a little shocking, number two. Inventory, the amount of homes for sale in 29576 up 44%. So lots more competition there. That's why you want to make sure you have a great realtor. 29585, which is Pawleys Island and Litchfield. Sales down year-to-date 10%. Sales down last month 6%. This is an interesting one. Median price last month was down 21%. So went from 710 last year to down to 554 this year. Crazy numbers there overall. And last one here, Georgetown. Sales last month up 35%. Year-to-date sales up 25%. That's due to a lot of affordability. We have a lot of buyers who start Myrtle Beach, and next thing you know, we're showing them stuff in Georgetown because of affordability down there overall. Inventory is only up 4.3%. So that's something we'll keep watching. If you want to know more how this works, you want your specific details, reach out to me. We also have a great tool on my website. I spend lots of money for it. You get it. It's like your stock ticker for your house. You can check on your phone all the time. It's right on BlakeSloan.com. It gives you your own dashboard. You can also get a cash offer, a human evaluation, whatever you want. We want to make sure you have the great data, and it's without any hassle. We're not going to hassle and mess with you. We're here to serve you, and we know in the long run they'll come back to us if we help out. We got 2 minutes left. All right, really quick. We have hot buyers. We have massive amounts of buyers right now. 80,119 active home buyers. So if you're looking to sell, we have what we call buyers in waiting. We'll have somebody waiting that can buy your property in many cases, which is awesome. I get a really cool success story. James and Faith have been trying to sell their condo in Myrtle Beach for over a year. Listed with another agent the entire time, did not get the job done. Thankfully, they heard about us from a friend of theirs, gave us a call. We came in, immediately identified the problem, which is marketing, design a custom plan, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual walkthrough. Within 1 week, James and Faith had a fantastic offer on the property. Now they moved back to Ohio to be close to their grandchildren and put maximum equity in their pocket. They were absolutely blown away compared to the previous agent they had. And really quick, Derek and Courtney wanted to sell their high-end home Myrtle's Inlet. They had to move for his job because he was on the road a lot, want to be more central in the country. They were concerned they want to get the most amount of money because they had a beautiful pool and outdoor entertainment area. Met with multiple agents. They weren't impressed. Thankfully, they heard about us on the radio. We came in. The choice is clear. Design a custom plan, launch our global marketing blitz, professional photos, massive traffic, and we're able to get a full price offer on their home very quickly. They can relocate, put maximum money in their pocket. If you want to be like that success story, reach out, call us 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com. And 1 minute left. Back to the hot buyers. We have buyers from all across the globe. We spend $100,000 a month. And the difference between us and other agents is they wait to put the sign on the ground before they start marketing for your property. Our team and our system allow us to spend massive amounts of money before you ever call us. We use our technology to match up buyers and sellers. That's how we put more eyeballs on your property. That's how we sell it faster. Reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com. Anytime. We're here to serve you. We'll see you back here next week.
Sorry, so frantic.
That's all right.
I'm gonna start giving those tickets away, not next week, but the week of the show.